Reviving his life, Yuzhu arrived in 54 years. In this life, he decided to stay away from Yi Zhonghai. Never fall into his trap. Stay away from Qinhuai Ru and never let him suck blood. Stay away from all kinds of animals, only then can life thrive. After binding the system, Yuzhu's life is getting better and better, and his cooking skills are simply amazing. In this life, stand tall and absolutely domineering. Chapter 1. Silly pillar, please wait a moment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Silly pillar, you're itching again. I see you haven't been knocking on the roof for 3 days. Yuzhu opened his eyes wearily. Dad. You're not. Looking at Yi Zhonghai holding a shoehorn and looking around, Yuzhu's mind suddenly became confused. Isn't this 1954? Isn't he already dead? Will this bring you back to this time? In 2000, due to his excessive unwillingness before his death, he became a lonely ghost wandering around his body. Having seen everyone's faces clearly, I began to recall my terrible life. In 1951, his father Yi Zhonghai fell in love with the White Widow and forced him to drop out of school and become an apprentice in the cafeteria of the steel rolling mill. In 54 AD, Yi Zhonghai ran away with the White Widow, leaving him and Rainwater to rely on each other. But I am biased and have been helping the Qinhuai Ru family and the deaf old lady, mistreating the rain. After Jia Dongxu's death, Qinhuai Ru repeatedly disrupted his blind dates. In the end, in order to have a queen, she was with Qinhuai Ru. The first few years after Yi Zhonghai left were good, but later he encountered famine and political turmoil. The work in the cafeteria of the steel rolling mill was also unstable, and with age, he was dismissed. Due to the inability to bring profits to the family, a group of white-eyed wolves from the Jia family kicked themselves out. In the end, he starved to death. As the saying goes, there is no chef who starves to death. I didn't expect it to end like this. And even after his own death, no rain came to see him off as his own brother. In the end, it turned out that Su Damao, who had been fighting with him for a lifetime, collected the body for him. But he understood that he owed the rain. Not only because of the relief work. Also, due to the incident where he helped stick memes replace stealing chickens, he ruined his reputation and almost ruined Rainwater's marriage. Even if they got married later, Rain has always been disliked by her husband's family. It wasn't until 3 years after marriage when she gave birth to 2 chubby kids that her status at home improved a bit. Even so, Rainwater always remembers his foolish brother. But he was deceived by Lard, and in order to help the Qinhuai Ru family, he actually tricked his brother-in-law's mother out of 3,000 yuan for medical treatment from Rainwater. Ultimately, it led to a major disaster, causing the rain to eventually break with him. So even she didn't tell him about Qinhuai Ru wearing a ring. After learning about his death, I secretly cried, but I didn't even take a glance. I am really a jerk, hurting the person who treats me the best for a group of white-eyed wolves. Thinking of this, Yuzhu's sorrow came from the midst of it. In his previous life, he was truly a lone and isolated person, suffering a tragic death on the street. After seeing everyone's true face clearly, his ghost also became weaker and weaker. Unexpectedly, when I had the perception of this world again, it turned out to be back in 1954. Pop. The pain on his body pulled Yuzhu back from his memory. You want to be lazy again, don't you? I'll make you lazy. Pop. Let you be lazy. As Yi Zhonghai's next shoe pull was about to come down, Yuzhu quickly grabbed his wrist. At this moment, Yi Zhonghai was also confused and didn't know what to react to. You're doing the opposite, right? Do you know how hard I put in to make you go to the pear orchard to study? If you don't want to go, I'm feeling drowsy, go now. Yuzhu didn't listen to Yi Zhonghai's chatter anymore, just picked up his coat on the Kong and strode out the door. After Yuzhu dropped out of school, he began working in the cafeteria of the steel rolling mill and studied Tan family cuisine with Yi Zhonghai. In order to promote the comprehensive development of his culinary skills, Yi Daqing contacted his senior brother, Wang Difu, who made Sichuan cuisine. Let him go to the pear orchard every Saturday and Sunday to study for 2 days and improve his cooking skills. Today happened to be Saturday. He didn't wake up in the morning because he took a cold shower last night and then caught a cold from the wind. He has a very clear memory of this incident, because when Yi Daqing entered the room, he indiscriminately started fighting. At that time, he didn't know how to resist and lay in bed for 3 days after being beaten. And Yi Daqing still left in these few days. Give it another try, he can't just sneak away like Yi Daqing. At least some assets need to be retained. In his previous life, it was because he secretly left that the house in the courtyard finally settled in the hands of the eldest son of the White Widow. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen to that extent. Silly pillar, are you going to the pear orchard? Yuzhu heard the sound and looked. Yi Zhonghai. His greatest enemy. Yi Zhonghai is a person who is generous to others and has great face. He knows how to be humble all day long. After Yi Daqing left, he would pay back 10 yuan every month, and in the end, all of this money went to Yi Zhonghai's hands. Yi Zhonghai was childless all his life, and in order to secure him, there would be someone to take care of him in his later years. Always brainwashing him, asking him to help the Qinhuai Ru family and the deaf old lady to bind him with righteousness. He also helped Qinhuai Ru disrupt his blind date. Whenever he has a conflict with Su Damao, he always takes a step back. Even the act of stealing chickens for the stick meme was fueled by his efforts. He was also confused in his previous life and never found any problems. Still blaming rainwater for not understanding him. Helping others is a good thing, but it is within one's own ability and without harming the interests of oneself and loved ones. What about Yi Zhonghai? Even though he knows everything, he still uses him. Even the matter of Qinhuai Ru wearing a ring was brought up by him. He said that if he had his own children, he would become selfish and may not care about them at that time. He has always been worried about future things, but he has never thought about it with empathy. In this life, stay away from Yi Zhonghai and never fall into his trap. Yuzhu gave a faint response and walked towards the gate. Hey, why are you in such a hurry? The old lady said she missed you that day. Go and see her when you have time after work. Again, now that Yi Daqing is still here, Yi Zhonghai dare not openly ask him to go and help the deaf old lady. Then he roundly asked him to deliver something to the old lady. And Yi Zhonghai's words are so good that one cannot directly reject them. Yuzhu didn't want to talk much nonsense to him and casually said. Got it, I've been busy on both sides lately. Let's wait for a while. You ask a lady to take the old lady out for a walk more often, as staying in the room for too long can be unbearable. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Hey, silly pillar, wait a moment. Watching Yuzhu leave with great strides, Yi Zhonghai couldn't help but murmur. What's wrong with this? Did you have an epiphany? No matter how you speak, you've started to be tactful. Yi Zhonghai kept looking back on his conversation with Yuzhu in his mind, thinking that he had overthought it. Then he shook his head and headed towards the backyard. Chapter 2. The Hand of My Apprentice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the pear orchard, all the fresh dishes have been delivered. The apprentices of the kitchen each perform their respective duties, washing vegetables, preparing vegetables, killing chickens, ducks, counting goods. The long-lost environment made him feel a sense of reality for the first time after being reborn. Pillar, why did you come so late today? Master Wang just wanted to see you. Go over there quickly. Okay, thank you, Brother Ma. Yuzhu arrived at the small compartment where his master was resting and saw him sitting on a recliner, holding a large teapot and shaking it. Seeing the familiar scene, even as a 7-foot man, he couldn't help but blush. Master is one of the few people who treats him sincerely. After He Daqing ran away, his master told him to stay and work in the pear orchard. After all, staying at the steel rolling mill will definitely result in exclusion. Who made Yi Daqing leave without saying a word, completely disregarding the face of the leader and the living environment of Yuzhu. But in order to have a job within the system, be closer to home, and be able to bring some food home, he directly refused his master's kindness. Later, he was used by Yi Zhonghai and others, and it was his master who came to find him on his own initiative after hearing about it. He also introduced several girls from good families to him. In the end, none of them succeeded. The master asked him to move out and stay away from a group of animals, giving him advice. But he completely didn't understand his master's feelings and felt that his master was too lacking in sympathy. In the end, he parted ways with his master unhappily. This is also a regret in his previous life. Master. Wang Difu opened his eyes upon hearing the sound. The pillar is here, what's going on? Oh, it's okay. I just passed by the kitchen and was blinded by the chili peppers. You, a student of Sichuan cuisine, can still make chili peppers dazzle your eyes. I still need to grow up. By the way, Master, Ma Gu just said you're looking for me. Wang Difu didn't catch up with this matter anymore and followed his words, saying. Pillar, you have been studying with me for 3 years now and your skills have improved. Today, you can become your senior brother's assistant chef. Let me also see your strength. Wang Difu only has 2 disciples, one of whom is Zhang Kaihua, the son of an old friend he adopted when he was young. The other one is Yuzhu. He also took advantage of Yi Daqing's face, otherwise he wouldn't have had this opportunity. Zhang Kaihua has been following Wang Difu into the kitchen since childhood and is now one of the main chefs in the pear orchard. As for Wang Difu, his current skills are no longer spent all day by the stove. Usually, it is mainly to guide apprentices. If Chairman Lu invites people to a banquet, he will personally cook. Okay, thank you, Master. I won't disappoint you. Don't boast too much, kid. If he had no previous life experience, he wouldn't have said that he would impress his master. At most, it would be considered average. But after all, he is now a 16-year-old body and a 60-year-old soul. Let's go. Wang Difu stood up directly from the lounge chair. Ah. Master, it's still early. Let's take a look at any recent progress. Yuzhu followed his master to the kitchen. Soon someone cleared out a stove. Master, what kind of dish are you cooking? Just sour and spicy shredded potatoes. This dish best shows a person's craftsmanship. Look at it. Yuzhu didn't use the sliced potatoes and directly took 2 large potatoes that had just been peeled and washed, and 3 tiger skin green peppers. Put the potatoes on the cutting board, get ready, and start. Click. He was cut off with the first blow. Yuzhu stabilized his mind and started over with da. In just a few seconds, the 2 potatoes were cut. From the outside, it still looks intact. He took a basin of clean water, put the potatoes in, and washed away the starch. At this point, the potatoes had already spread out. Everyone can see the results now. When Yuzhu was cutting potatoes before, he could only say that his knife skills were good. After all, he had been an apprentice for 3 years. If his knife skills were still very poor, it could be said that he had just rolled up his bedding and left. But after seeing the potato shreds in the water, it no longer feels like the knife is good. This craft can be a chef, and one can handle it alone. The potato shreds in the water, apart from their varying lengths, are as long and wide as replicated in a mold. Not bad, keep going. Master Wang nodded in satisfaction. Yuzhu then shreds the tiger skin green pepper, prepares the base ingredients such as scallions and garlic. Then start boiling the oil in the pot, and in no time, a layer of green pepper and shredded potatoes with all the colors and aromas will be out of the pot. On the side, Zhonghai saw the pot coming out and immediately handed a small plate and chopsticks to his master. Master Wang picked up a chopstick and tasted it lightly. Pillar, you. Zhonghai also took a new chopstick and took a sip. Yuzhu, are you secretly going back to practice now? Master Wang also said. Not bad, not bad. Previously, he was willing to accept Yuzhu as his disciple, except for Hidaching's face. Mainly because Yuzhu appears to have a down-to-earth and hard-working personality. But he has been with Yuzhu for 3 years now, and he also feels that Yuzhu's talent is not high, but he works hard. So it has always been good for Yuzhu. I didn't expect this kid to become so powerful at any time. Pillar, you can make a few more dishes for me to see. Without hesitation, Yuzhu simply listed out the most famous dishes of Sichuan cuisine. Fish-flavored shredded pork, kung pao chicken, boiled pork slices, fuchi fipian, sliced beef and ox tongue in chili sauce, mapo tofu, twice-cooked pork, spicy chicken, spicy shrimp, spicy chicken. Master Wang tasted his dishes one by one and said. At noon today, you will be responsible for the 5 dishes in the hall. Shredded fish-flavored pork, kung pao chicken, boiled pork slices, fuchi fipian, sliced beef and ox tongue in chili sauce, mapo tofu. Hello master. From 11 a.m. until after 3 p.m., Yuzhu basically never stopped. After relaxing, I realized that neither shoulder belonged directly to me. After all, such a large amount is still a heavy burden on the body of a 16-year-old boy. Moreover, he had always been an apprentice before and had never been in trouble for such a long time. The muscles on his shoulders had not yet been exercised. Senior brother came over and forcefully squeezed his arm a few times. You feel more comfortable now. Thank you, senior brother. Go and rest first. At this moment, Li, the shopkeeper of the pear orchard, walked in. Kaihua, where's your master? At this moment, Master Wang happened to come in from behind. Manager Li, what can I do for you? Old Wang, why don't you cook today? Many customers in this hall say this dish is good today. Wang diffused blush. Today's dish, let's start with my disciple's hands. Kaihua. No, it's my little disciple. Rain Pillar. Well, I've only been with you for a few years now. It's scary for the younger generation, it's scary for the younger generation. Yuzhu himself was already fond of Sichuan cuisine, and in his past life, he finally chose the steel rolling mill. He slowly introduced some low-cost Sichuan dishes, such as mapo tofu, into the canteen. In order to better cater to the tastes of the people of the 4 or 9 cities, he also studied for a long time. So, although we are still cooking Sichuan cuisine today, its taste is more in line with the people of the 4 or 9 cities. Being praised endlessly is certain. Manager Li and Master Wang exchanged a few more pleasantries before leaving. Chapter 3. How to Marry Jia Dongxu. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After Manager Li left, Master Wang called Yuzhu into his small compartment. Yuzhu, your current skills are fully capable of becoming a master. Do you have any plans for the future? Master, I have been with you for 3 years now. Although I mostly work at the steel rolling mill and also learn some Tan family cuisine from my father, my Sichuan cuisine skills are definitely far superior to Tan family cuisine. In the past few years of studying in the cafeteria of the steel rolling mill, I have mainly improved my current skills in knife cutting, but I am able to have this skill today because I learned it from you. If I were to spend my entire life in the cafeteria of a steel rolling mill, my skills would be at the highest level, at level 4 or 5. It would be difficult for me to improve further. Yuzhu expressed his intention while also complimenting Wang Difu. Just now, Manager Li also said that he appreciates your craftsmanship. If you are willing, you can stay at the pear orchard. The normal chef's salary is 45 yuan per month. Your skills are even stronger than ordinary chefs, and your Sichuan cuisine is particularly suitable for the taste of people from our 4 or 9 cities. If you are willing to stay, I can discuss the salary with Manager Li again and give you 50 yuan. The cafeteria of the steel rolling mill is mainly a public office unit. It would be better to work there, and the salary is also quite good. Your father has been working there for more than 20 years, and his ability is also good. He is well known in our 4 or 9 cities, and you can also receive more care there. Master also understood what you said just now, but you should think carefully and go back and discuss with your father. Don't let his heart get cold then. Got it, Master. On the way out of the Liuanhui quadrangle, Yuzhu passed by a park and went in to find an empty place to sit down. After looking around and confirming that there was no one around, he closed his eyes. As soon as I closed my eyes, a panel appeared in front of me. 2000 years ago, there was already a desktop computer. Although he had never touched it, he had seen it. The screen in front of me is as bright as the interface of a desktop computer. Why is there such a thing? It's time to talk about when Yuzhu started cutting vegetables with a knife in the morning. When he cut off the first knife, a voice rang out in his mind. Cooking skills add 1. Afterwards, with every cut, this sound would be heard, including when he was frying vegetables afterwards. Now he opened the panel and found that there was a line at the top that read. Cooking skill value. 561964/100000000 level. Level 5 chef. A 5th level chef, this is almost approaching his culinary level in the previous life. In his previous life, his culinary skills reached almost level 4. At that time, he originally wanted to take the chef's certificate again. Although the highest level in the steel rolling mill was only 6, if he could pass the exam, his salary would also increase. But due to his mouth, he offended the director of the steel rolling mill, Zhang, and even after being dismissed, he remained an 8th level chef. This is also a regret. Thinking of starting over again, he had no intention of continuing to stay in the cafeteria of the steel rolling mill, nor would there be so many twists and turns in the world. In addition, he is no longer the silly person he used to be. This time, he must live well for himself and the person who loves him. After studying this screen again, he knew why he wasn't at level 4 now. For chefs, physical strength is also considered a part of their culinary skills. Especially for large pots of stir-fried vegetables, if the strength is not enough and they cannot be stirred up, it can lead to uneven heating of the dishes, resulting in incomplete finished products. He accepted the idea of a screen appearing in his mind, except for being initially surprised. The possibility of a lifetime of rebirth, let alone a screen. After sorting out his thoughts, Yuzhu stood up and walked towards the courtyard. It was already late when we arrived at the courtyard. As soon as we entered, we saw Yan Bugui sitting at the door with a small horse. Yuzhu has returned, haven't you brought anything to eat today? Yan Bugui, as the 3rd master in the yard and a primary school teacher, should have had a considerable reputation. But this person has the biggest flaw, which is their love for taking advantage. He gets up early every day and sits on the small bench at the gate. If someone goes out to buy some deep-fried dough sticks buns, he begins to get close. Even if you take 2 mantu, he won't give up. At night, when I returned from school, I started strolling around, taking a look here and there. As long as it is profitable, he will climb the pole and run upwards. One winter, he heard on the street that there were fish in the river to the east, and this guy rushed over with him without stopping. I dug a hole as big as a thief with a hammer and started fishing. As a result, due to sitting for too long in the cold weather, when the fish caught the bait, he slipped and was pulled into the water. If it weren't for a passing veteran, he wouldn't have been sitting here today. Stealing a chicken won't erode the rice. Because of this matter, he has been in poor health all winter and has been taking medicine. Because of this incident, we can hear him arguing with his 3rd aunt every day in the yard. In his previous life, he looked down upon people like Yan Bugui the most. But in fact, although he has a problem, he never hides it. He likes to take advantage, but as long as he benefits a lot, serving others is called sincerity. After walking through the cycle of reincarnation, Yuzhu's disgust towards Yan Bugui also decreased significantly. But I didn't intend to have too much friendship with him either. I'm an apprentice, how could I bring things home every day? You can just enjoy the moon in the yard. I don't have your leisure time, I have to go home and cook for the rain. After speaking, I quickly left. When we arrived at the courtyard, we saw Qinhuai Ru washing clothes. Silly Zhu has returned, why did he come back so late today? Yuzhu simply replied, Jia's sister.in.law is good, so she went straight back to the house. Qinhuai Ru also felt the coldness of Yuzhu. In normal times, Yuzhu had already come up to chat with her, with Qin's sister on the left and Qin's sister on the right. However, after thinking about Yuzhu's temperament, I realized that he might have thought too much. Yuzhu is only a half-year-old boy now, and the sudden changes in his thinking are normal. After encountering some things, this performance also made sense, and she didn't dwell too much on it. The most important thing is still the pile of clothes in front of her. She is now pregnant, but the evil mother.in.law Jia Zhang is still enslaving her. After all, in the eyes of that old woman, there were only her own son Jia Dongxu and grandson Bangang. Thinking of this, Qinhuai Ru couldn't help feeling sad. She has been married to the Jia family for 3 years and has never touched any money. Back then, she was also considered a village flower-like figure in their village, and the number of matchmakers arranged was unknown. If it weren't for a city household registration, how could she marry Jia Dongxu? Every day, I watched the He family in the same yard eating delicious food and drinking spicy food. Whenever there is any meat or fish in her house, it's not her turn. It's true that people are more popular than people, and goods are better than goods. After a deep sigh, she picked up the hammer in her hand and made a couple of thugs. She could only vent her anger while holding on to her clothes, after all, she had to maintain her good daughter.in.law appearance. Chapter 4. Got it, Master. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yuzhu simply boiled some millet porridge, made some coarse flour paste, used some oil and spread some cakes after returning home. After finishing, called he rainwater to eat. Wow, brother, why are you eating this today? Yuzhu looked at the smile on his face and then at her frail body, feeling even more ashamed. You, what a good thing. I will cook meat for you in the future, as well as white flour mantou. Really? Really? Can I still deceive you, brother? Come on, eat. When Qing returned, the rain had already washed and slept. As soon as Yuzhu saw Qing's listless expression, he knew he had been fooling around with the White Widow again, but he didn't care much about him. He directly said, Dad, I have something to tell you. Let's talk about something tomorrow. I have to go to bed. He has been staying at the White Widow's house since he left today, feeling like his body has been emptied. I don't want to think about anything anymore, I just want to have a good sleep. You're going to Baoqing with the White Widow, right? When Qing heard Yuzhu's question, his spirit trembled and he said, How did you know? You don't have to worry about how I know. I also know that you're leaving tomorrow and don't even plan to tell me about the rain. You. Qing didn't know what to say for a moment. Today, Widow Bai pestered him all day just to persuade him to leave together tomorrow. How could Yuzhu know such a secretive matter? Qing is truly a person who has lived in the system, and after stabilizing his mind, he said. Your mother has been away for a few years, and I am still young. It's not too much to find another one. Besides, although I plan to go to Baoqing, I won't ignore you either. I will send back 10 yuan per month, and you still have an apprentice's salary of 18 yuan per month, which is more than enough for you and rainwater. And I will also tell your Uncle Yi that if you have anything, go find him. Don't worry, I've already arranged everything. Mainly because your Aunt Bai still has 3 children, it's not enough to go to Baoqing, otherwise I would have taken you two with me. Don't worry, if you have time, you can bring the rain to play in Baoqing. What Yi Daqing said was straightforward, and Yuzhu directly expressed his demands. I'm not here to stop you, but I have some demands. You say. Firstly, my family's house needs to be transferred to me. This is where Rainwater and I settled down, and the house belongs to my mother. You can't leave it for the son of the White Widow, can you? And you probably won't come in the future. Secondly, I plan to stay and work in the pear orchard in the future. After all, there is my master who can take care of me over there. You have offended me at the steel rolling mill. The pear orchard is a bit far from the rainwater school, so you can buy me a 2/8-bar machine to facilitate my collection of rainwater. In the past 3 years, you have received all of my salary, and I hope you can keep this money. As for your own money, I don't want it either. 4. You can leave the day after tomorrow and have a good day with rainwater tomorrow. Let her not leave any regrets. I will tell her that you just went to work in another city and didn't want her anymore. When you have time, I will take her there. Then, you can write another letter to Rainwater every month. Every statement made by Yuzhu was well-founded, and after thinking for a moment, Yi Daqing agreed without any problems. Okay, I'll stay one more day. Tomorrow morning, I'll take the rain and go out to play. In the afternoon, we'll go to the neighborhood committee and transfer the house to your name. Tomorrow morning, go to the pear orchard and take a leave with your master. After the two discussed, Yuzhu left. Hey, I've finally grown up. Yi Daqing attributed the changes in Yuzhu to his knowledge of the White Widow and his overnight growth. But I didn't think too much. I didn't even take off my clothes and fell asleep. The next morning, Yuzhu got up early and prepared meals for the rain to go to the pear orchard. Arriving at the pear orchard, all kinds of vegetables have just arrived, and some apprentices are unloading the goods. Yuzhu immediately welcomed him and helped unload the goods together. Usually, he doesn't need to do these things, but according to what I told my master before, he should officially become the head chef soon. Senior brother is a person of integrity, and he is definitely blessed to become the head chef. But other employees may not know. Although he has good craftsmanship now, his age is still there. Cooking is the place where people are most afraid of secretly causing trouble and bad reputation. He doesn't have much popularity yet. If he were parroted before becoming famous, there might be no place in his life willing to use him. Alright, we still need to establish good relationships with these people. Yuzhu, come on in and rest. We're here now, and you're all going to be the head chef. How can you do this? Lan Jie, aren't you joking about me? My skills were all developed through your observation, and you all count me as half of my master. It's not natural for me to do these things. Don't give me a high hat. You kid, your mouth has been getting sweeter lately. Master Wang only arrived at the pear orchard after being busy until around 9:30 p.m. Entering the small compartment, Yuzhu said directly. Master, I have already agreed with my father not to go to the steel rolling mill and stay with you. De Qing agreed. He doesn't have any dissatisfaction, does he? Yuzhu approached and said. Master, let me tell you about this. Don't spread it out. My father plans to settle in Baoqing with the White Widow's family on West Street tomorrow. This old kid, how could he leave you all? I'll go find him and ask for an explanation. Master, please don't go. He just stays and doesn't have us in his heart. If we force him, maybe he will treat me and Rainwater even more disrespectfully. It's good now, and I'm about to become a full-time employee. My salary is also quite good, so there's no problem supporting me and Rainwater. Besides, when he used to teach me 10 family dishes, he was always perfunctory and didn't treat me like you treated me like a biological son. Otherwise, why did I only learn from you for 3 years and achieve what I have now? Yuzhu's words were able to persuade Wang Difu. Hey, your father is not a personal person either. It's because of this. No wonder you behaved so well yesterday. It turns out you used to hide your foolishness and didn't show it when necessary. You really have grown up. Seeing that Wang Difu misunderstood his performance yesterday, Yuzhu did not explain and directly agreed to his words. I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time, but I haven't found a chance yet. After finishing this matter, Yuzhu said again. Master, I have to take a leave this afternoon. My father promised to transfer the house to my name. Wang Difu also knew the importance of this matter and directly said. Okay, go ahead. Come and find me if you have something to do. Got it, Master. Chapter 5. Brother, you eat. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. It was already noon when Yuzhu returned to the courtyard, and in the middle of the day, he heard Jia Zhang arguing in the courtyard. You scumbag, don't come into our house in the future. What a curse. Upon entering the courtyard, I saw Qinhuai Ru's fallen back and Jia Zhang's door slamming shut. After the door closed, Qinhuai Ru turned around and looked at the people in the courtyard with a look of grievance. At this moment, she happened to align with Yuzhu's gaze, and her eyes suddenly lit up. According to the personality of Yuzhu in his past life, when encountering such bullying, he will definitely go up to defend Qinhuai Ru. In the end, if the trouble arises, Yi Zhonghai and others will come out to solve it, and he will have to apologize and apologize. At that time, Qinhuai Ru never said a word for him. Yuzhu directly avoided Qinhuai Ru's eyes and returned to his own room, not caring about Qinhuai Ru's affairs anymore. He really likes Qinhuai Ru. Although she is old and has children, she also has a mother-in-law. But since we were together, he has never mistreated their family. Even during the most difficult period, he saved himself and took care of them. But when he was of no use, he was kicked out without mercy. Listening to the various comforts in the yard, he knew the reason. Jia Dongxu secretly gave her 3 yuan and she bought meat directly. She didn't take a bite of the food she cooked at home. After finishing the meal, Jia Zhang began to inquire about the source of Qinhuai Ru. The old lady thought it was from whose family, so she didn't ask before eating. Knowing that it was the money given by Jia Dongxu, the old lady was almost furious. Afterwards, there was the scene that Yuzhu saw when he entered the courtyard. The yard was bustling for a while before the crowd dispersed. Qinhuai Ru was taken to her house by an elderly woman. He sat on an old stool and poured himself a glass of cold water to clear his mind. Around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Daqing returned carrying the sleeping rainwater on his back. He gently placed the rainwater on the bed, covered it with a blanket, and brought out the paper voucher. Seeing this scene, Yuzhu had to admit that in this era of valuing sons over daughters, it is considered very good that Yuzhu was born into the He family. If it weren't for everything he suffered later on, she might have been the happiest person in the world. Let's go. The two of them arrived at the neighborhood committee in 7 or 8 minutes. Director Sun, long time no see. Master He, are you bringing your child over here? Let me do the transfer of ownership. The pillars are also large, and I only have his son. So, let's put this house under her name. Okay, Shaoli, go over and provide the transfer information for Master He and Comrade Xiao He. At this time, the transfer of ownership is still very fast. The neighborhood committee has a lot of authority, and everyone knows it well, so there is no need to do too much investigation. Mainly, some documents need to be filled out and signed. All the documents were ready in just over an hour. After returning to the courtyard, the rain had not yet woken up. Yuzhu put away his documents, and Daqing went to the supply and marketing cooperative with the money. Daqing is afraid that the supply and marketing cooperative will be off work, which will prevent him from leaving tomorrow. He has been walking and running all the way, occasionally urging Yuzhu. When I arrived at the supply and marketing cooperative, I was gasping for breath. Comrades, let's take a look at the bicycles. Oh, Good, this way. As soon as it passed, Yuzhu fell in love with a permanent brand's 28 big bars. During this period, the Phoenix brand bicycles had not yet been introduced, followed by the permanent and Flying Dove brands. This one. Comrade, how much does this car cost? 180 yuan. 180 yuan is equivalent to He Daqing's salary for the past 4 months. This is a considerable wealth in this era. He Daqing didn't hesitate and directly took out the money. Counting enough 180 yuan, he even gave the money directly to the salesperson. At this moment, there is no need for tickets, otherwise even the money cannot buy them. The salesperson couldn't help but take a few more glances at He Daqing's generosity. After completing the procedures, the salesperson reminded. Remember to go to the Public Security Bureau and put up a sign. Even if it's stolen, it can be quickly found. Okay, could you please do it? He Daqing felt a little distressed when he came out of the supply and marketing cooperative. Do you know how to ride? You'll be bumped into when the time comes. Just sit down first. First, go to the nearby Public Security Bureau to license the car, and then go to the vegetable market to buy some chicken, duck, fish, and meat. I just rode my bike towards home. Oh, what a big day it is today. Yan Bugui saw what the two of them were holding at the entrance. A pair of eyes dribbling around. Take a look at the bicycle and the various meat and vegetables on the car. The saliva at the corner of that mouth is almost flowing out. I plan to work in Baoqing and leave tomorrow, so I'll prepare a meal for them. Are you leaving tomorrow? We haven't seen each other for a long time. I'm still thinking of you after you leave. What's up here? Tonight. Teacher Yan, as a teacher, there are both winter and summer vacations in the school. If you miss my father, then you can go to Baoqing to play for a few days, and the two of you will have a good time together. Yuzhu directly interrupted He Daqing's prepared invitation. Today is our family gathering, so we won't invite you anymore. After speaking, he pushed the car towards the courtyard. Silly Zhu, what do you mean by that? How come in your eyes, Teacher Yan is such a person? Silly teacher, I didn't say anything either. Yuzhu's silly teacher instantly diverted Yan Bugui's attention. Silly Zhu, how did you talk to your elders? Why, you can call me Silly Zhu, but I can't call you silly teacher. You're a bit of a double-standard person. You, Rain Pillar, let's do this. Teacher Yan, is that right? No wonder you are a teacher. This enlightenment is high, do not do to others what you do not want, you have practiced it so well. That's it. Just a few words of praise, Yan Bugui's nostrils are about to fly upwards. Yuzhu continued. Think about it, if today is your big family gathering, my dad would ruin your family's gathering just to get together with you. Would you be happy? Of course not. Is this wrong? Do not do to others what you don't want. Teacher Yan, go home and see what you want to eat. Yan Bugui was fooled for a moment, then turned around and returned home in confusion. When we arrived at the courtyard, we saw He Rainwater and Zhang Danny playing with a few children. Seeing them coming back, the little girl immediately threw down her friend and ran over. Brother, I tell you that today my father took me out to play, and we also ate tomatoes on sticks. I ate 2 strings of candied haws, and I secretly left one for you. Let me show you. The little girl started pulling Yuzhu as soon as she spoke. After putting down the things, Yuzhu followed the rain into the room. Sneaked out a bunch of tomatoes on sticks from the clothes I wore in the morning. There is a big pocket in this dress, little girl. She bought tomatoes on sticks and hid it secretly. I played all the way and slept when I came back. Even He Daqing didn't know the tomatoes on sticks in her pocket. Brother, you eat. Okay. Yuzhu choked up and said. He opened his mouth and bit into a flattened hawthorn. It's so sweet. Chapter 6. Chaos in the Wind. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After calming the rain, Yuzhu went to play with Zhang Danny and the others again. As soon as he left the yard, he saw a group of people gathered around his bicycle. This is the first bicycle in the yard, and everyone is very envious. At this time, the salary is not high, but there are many people in each household who open their mouths. Basically, no one is willing to buy something that looks useless like a bicycle. And even if they are willing to buy, there are few wealthy families. Unlike his family, where two chefs have relatively low expenses for meals. In addition, with two men, He Daqing and Yuzhu, taking charge of the household, the other living expenses are even less. At this moment, when Jia Zhang saw Yuzhu come out, he directly ordered. "Silly Zhu, your car is good. Tomorrow, our family's Dongxu will ride it to work." "Why? Why? Everyone is neighbors, and our Dongxu riding your bike is to save you face. Don't be unkind at all costs. I don't want this face either. Get up." Yuzhu took 2 steps forward and squeezed away Jia and Zhang from the side of the car. She took the opportunity to sit on the ground. Oh, silly pillar hit me. Without a bicycle, I can't get up." Everyone, including Yuzhu, was annoyed and laughed at by Jia Zhang's speechless and reckless behavior. "You're falsely accusing me. What does blackmail you mean? Didn't you push me? Then you go find the police and wait for them to arrive before we talk." "Okay, Yuzhu. Are you threatening me? Do you know that our Dongxu is a second-level fitter in the steel rolling mill, and Director Zhang in the mill has to give me face? Is that right?" This old lady is really kind to say that Jia Dongxu's source of work is not a bit hard. Mr. Jia used to work in a steel rolling mill when he was young, but later became disabled due to work-related injuries. The steel rolling mill elevated Jia Dongxu to his father's position. These public institutions all have seniority, and the older the seniority, the higher the salary. In order to make up for the Jia family, the factory agreed to include Jia Dongxu's seniority in the work. And he also provided all the medical expenses for Mr. Jia, with a monthly subsidy of 10 yuan. The steel rolling mill has taken the employees involved in accidents with a very serious attitude. But Jia Zhang thinks that since you can offer such a high treatment, it must be even higher. In the end, the steel rolling mill agreed to a monthly subsidy of 18 yuan. In this way, the matter can be considered resolved. But Jia Zhang thought that the leader was afraid of him, so everyone said they had connections with him. Jia Dongxu was also disliked by the factory leaders for this matter. The employees also acted according to the wind, and he didn't do well in the factory. But he also knows what temperament Jia Zhang has, so he has never mentioned it to Jia Zhang. "What's going on? I'm afraid. I'm telling you, if you don't pay for the bike today, you can just wait and go to jail. Then I'll be waiting here today." For a moment, the two unexpectedly froze. More than patience, Yuzhu has plenty. In the end, Jia Dongxu spoke up first. "Mom, why don't you get up first? It's embarrassing, everyone is watching." Jia Dongxu is also a talented person. He didn't say a word before, just hoping that Jia Zhang could really pit his bicycle over. He didn't feel any shame. "Now that things are not easy to handle, I have given Jia Zhang a step and hope to turn this matter over." Unexpectedly, this staircase is built higher. For Jia Zhang, this is no less than adding fuel to the fire. "Shame on me, what kind of person did I lose? Yuzhu pushed me first, and now that I'm injured, I should be compensated." "Okay, then sit down and I'll call the police." As Yuzhu spoke, he planned to push his bicycle out. Some people in the crowd saw that the situation had escalated and immediately went to find Yi Zhonghai. In less than a minute, Yi Zhonghai and others arrived. Upon seeing this scene, I also knew that Jia Zhang was rolling around again. Yi Zhonghai looked at Yuzhu and said, "Silly pillar, why are you standing here? Why don't you apologize to Aunt Zhang quickly? I always teach you to respect the old and love the young. That's how you learn. The tone was full of air, as if it was only natural for Yuzhu to apologize. As a sixth-level fitter in the steel rolling mill and also a steward in the courtyard, Yi Zhonghai still has a good reputation. In his previous life, he had been using these ethical and moral principles to persuade Yuzhu. As a result, he was eventually persuaded to a fate of wandering on the streets, while enjoying his later years. He took advantage of all this good things alone. In this life, Yuzhu has understood his tricks and doesn't want to be constrained by him anymore. Apologize. What did I do wrong? Is it right for me to give up my newly purchased bicycle? Can you ask her if she is willing to take out their sewing machine and share it with everyone? Who asked her to borrow a sewing machine? She couldn't accept any money, so it's only natural for me to lend it to her. Why is my apprentice at a construction site lower in rank than her family Dongxu? Aren't we all working people? What capitalist airs is she playing here? The director of the steel rolling mill, Zhang, is serving the people. Why is her umbrella here? What Yuzhu said earlier is not a big problem, but his later words have already escalated to political issues. Yi Zhonghai immediately turned pale and hurriedly said, "What status? What level? Stupid pillar. What I'm telling you now is about respecting the elderly and loving the young. Don't talk to me about him in any way. Just say that you did something wrong about respecting the elderly and loving the young. What did you do wrong, Lao Yi?" He Da-Ching, who was cooking in the room, also came out. He saw the commotion in the yard just now, but he thought it was already a normal situation. Everyone in the yard didn't know about Jia Zhang's character, and even if it was over, it wouldn't be good if he came out. But seeing Yi Zhonghai being alarmed, I knew that the situation might have escalated, so I quickly came out to take a look. I didn't expect this guy to make his son apologize indiscriminately. He is also a person with a temper. He started bullying his son before he left. If he's gone, wouldn't Yi Zhonghai be lawless? Immediately start asking questions. Lao He, I didn't mean that. Silly Zhu is still young and doesn't make sense. Aren't I teaching him now? He Da-Ching remembered the conversation between Yuzhu and Yan Bugue when he returned in the afternoon and said, "What's going on? You're being silly one by one. Our family's rain pillar called you to provoke you. Why don't you call yourself, disciple silly Dongxu? Hey, I'm here. Aren't we talking about education? Why did we mention the title again? Education. Isn't this title one aspect of education? Lao He, how could you?" He Da-Ching interrupted Yi Zhonghai's words directly and looked at Yuzhu, saying, "Rain pillar, walk home." Then he said to Jia Zhang again, "Our rain pillar is right. If there is any problem, you can report it directly and call the police over." After he Da-Ching finished speaking, he took Yuzhu with him and left. Leave a group of people scattered in the wind. Chapter 7. Clean up briefly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jia Zhang saw that she couldn't take advantage of the situation, so she got up in a disheveled manner and left with Jia Dongxu. The people around me scattered one by one, leaving only Yi Zhonghai, both inside and outside, uninhabited. The steps back to the house made him increasingly angry as he thought about it. As soon as he entered the room, he picked up the large tea bar on the table and fell to the ground with a loud bang. The tea inside moistened a large area. Lao Yi, calm down. A middle-aged woman comforted beside her. Can you tell me, isn't he Da-Ching just a terrible cook? He's like a 205-person. With his temperament, if Chairman Lu didn't appreciate his skills, could he continue to work in the steel rolling mill? If you ask me, silly Zhu inherited his temperament, it's hard not to be pleased. Alright, that's their own son. It's understandable what they do. If you ask me, it's still Jia and Zhang who are restless. I'm not mainly angry about He Daqing, but more about Dongxu and her son. I didn't come forward for the two of them. The result was good, just watch the play on the side. It's not really a waste of pain for him. This is not Dongxu's fault either. I saw him preparing to speak, but being held back by his mother was all Jia Zhang's fault. Dongxu was also pitiful. Yi Zhonghai's anger also dissipated a lot after being persuaded by his aunt. Forget it, forget it. In the future, whoever cares about their family's affairs will do it. As a master, I am ultimately an outsider. After Yuzhu arrived at the kitchen, he found that He Daqing had already prepared all the ingredients. I always like to eat fish-flavored shredded meat because of the rain. All he plans to do is this one, and the rest will be handled by He Daqing. He Daqing also basically cooks his own specialty dishes. Braised shark's fin, stewed swallow's fin, steamed chicken with straw mushrooms, steamed mandarin fish, crispy duck with scallops, snow fungus soup. Because of the commotion just now, it was almost 9 o'clock when He Daqing finished cooking. There are many dishes, and He Daqing took out half of each dish. I went to Yan Bugui's house with a big box. He had instructed Yi Zhonghai to help take care of Yuzhu and his sister when he planned to leave. This posture doesn't look very good today. After all, Yan Bugui is a teacher. Although he has some minor flaws, he is still a good person. As long as you give him some benefits, it's still relatively reassuring. Dong dong dong, pulled Yan. As soon as Yan Bugui opened the door, he saw He Daqing holding a food box, and a diligent smile immediately appeared on his face. Why are you here? Come on in and take a seat. In the afternoon, you said it's been a long time since we last got together. Today's time really didn't happen, so I just wanted to bring you some vegetables, which can be considered a reunion. You're too polite, too. Although Yan Bugui said something, he had already reached forward to get the food box. When he was at the door, he didn't smell much, but now the meat smell in the food box is straight into his nostrils. He Daqing took the opportunity to release his hand and then said, I have one more thing I would like to ask for your help with. It's easy to say. I'm not leaving soon, and I'm not too worried about Rain Pillar. Besides, he has changed quite a bit in the past 2 days. I'm not very confident about the rain, so please take care of him at school. For Yan Bugui, this matter was just a small matter, and he immediately nodded and agreed. He Daqing talked about money again. I plan to send back 10 yuan per month for rainwater, including living expenses. Every time, I will release 11 yuan, and the extra yuan will be considered as your hard-earned expenses, brother. Upon hearing that he still had money, Yan Bugui's expression changed. Oh my God, don't worry, as long as there's a bite we've solved, we won't miss the rain. Yan Bugui's exaggeration is also too exaggerated. He just asked him to help take care of it, not to ask him to raise any rainwater, but He Daqing did not point it out. Thank you, brother. The rain and rain pillars are still waiting for me, so I'll go back first. Then walk slowly. As soon as He Daqing left, Yan Bugui immediately opened the food box. Yan Jicheng and the 3 aunties also gathered around. Although I had eaten dinner tonight, I couldn't help but drool when I saw these things. Yan Bugui asked the 3 aunties to take 2 small plates, and pulled out a little bit of each dish. Then one gave it to the 3 mothers and Yan Jicheng. I took the extra portion myself, poured a glass of wine, and began to drink slowly. After He Daqing returned to the room, Yuzhu had already placed all the dishes on the table. He Daqing also took out a bottle of good wine. Rainwater went out to play in the morning and tasted many delicious things. At this moment, when I saw the dishes on the table, although I looked eagerly at them, I didn't grab them. Rainwater, hurry up and eat. After He Daqing finished, Yuzhu poured him a glass of wine and then gave Rainwater a piece of chicken leg. The already hungry Rainwater wolfed down and started eating. He Daqing looked at the rain and took a quick sip of wine, his eyes turning red. In his previous life, Yuzhu actually blamed He Daqing, but later on, when Rainwater got married, He Daqing even sent a large sum of money and wrote a letter stating that he couldn't come. As the old saying goes, having a stepmother means having a stepfather. Although He Daqing is also straightforward and has a strong personality. But he did not say anything about his wife. Before Yuzhu's mother passed away, she had been sick for almost a year, and her family was almost at a loss. He Daqing did not even drop her medicine. Now that he is with the White Widow, he will not harm their family. But although He Daqing is upright, that White Widow is not enough. A woman from a family who can raise 3 children without any skills is definitely not capable. To him, the White Widow is an upgraded version of Qinhuai Ru. After He Daqing passes, all the money will be in her hands. And he already has 2 children, He Yuzhu and He Rainwater, and he will no longer ask the White Widow to have one. This doesn't completely satisfy the heart of the White Widow. He Daqing's life is actually just a little better than his previous life. After all, He Daqing is not as foolish as he was in his past life, and there are still a group of beasts around him. While eating, He Daqing said, "I just went to Teacher Yan's house and I have already agreed with him that he will bring the rain back after school. I will send him back 10 yuan every month for him to use on rainwater, and you should also take care of it. Yi Zhonghai is too hypocritical. You are a fool, don't trust him lightly." He Daqing drank and talked a lot about it. After He Rainwater had eaten and slept, he took out the money He Yuzhu had asked him for before. "Here is 700 yuan, of which 500 is your apprenticeship salary for the past 3 years. The rest will be my compensation to you. Dad knows you blamed me for dropping you out of school, but at that time, you were not doing your job at school every day. Plus, your mother just passed away, and the family's conditions were not good either. But now, you see, everything is fine. Wang Difu is a good master, so please follow him to learn, and your life will definitely not be bad in the future." He Daqing was still whispering something, but He Yuzhu didn't listen anymore. He tidied up for him briefly, put him on the bed, and then left. Chapter 8. Greetings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There was nothing to say overnight. The next morning, He Yuzhu woke up and found that He Daqing had already left. The room is tidy, and the hygiene has already been cleaned. He Yuzhu sincerely admires He Daqing's tolerance for alcohol. After drinking so much last night, he can still wake up early today. However, he didn't think much about it. After He Daqing left this time, he basically had nothing to do with them. He just needs to live a good life together with Rainwater. Stay away from Qinhuai Ru, away from Qinjing Ru, away from Lu Xiaoa. Save more money, and in 2 more years, talk to the matchmaker about a good marriage. When the time comes, we will have another pair of children and live our little lives peacefully. In the previous life, Rain did not study after finishing high school. But he knows the development of future generations, and it is still very important to attend a university. At his current age, when he finishes college, the country will assign a good job. I will definitely be able to find a better family than in the previous life. While thinking about future plans, I started making breakfast. After cooking a small pot of babao congee and simply warming up the leftovers from last night, I went to call Rainwater to get up and eat. "Brother, I want to sit in the front." "Okay." After breakfast, He Yuzhu planned to send Rainwater to school. I originally wanted the little girl to sit in the back, but I don't know where she looked from and insisted on sitting in the front. "Rain Pillar, go out." Yen Bugui greeted with envy on his face. "What's so amazing?" "Cut it." Before He Yuzhu could say anything, he heard an annoying voice coming from behind. "What's going on? Su Damao, do you envy me? I don't really have a bicycle, but do you? I will buy it sooner or later, and it will definitely be better than yours." "When will it be sooner or later?" You. If you can't afford it, then you can't afford it. I won't laugh at you. After Yuzhu finished speaking, he flipped over and got into the car before leaving. In fact, when he was a child, his relationship with Su Dumao was still very good. The two are of the same age and their parents are also quite open-minded, so they will not be restricted much. But when they were 11 years old, something happened and from then on they began to confront each other. That autumn, the two of them skipped classes together and went to play in Lijiazwang. Passing by the corn fields there, I picked up 7 or 8 large pieces of corn, dug a pit, and started roasting the corn. The result was discovered by the people in the village. Yuzhu thought of doing things one by one, and since they have done it, they must admit it. Su Dumao also agreed to his suggestion. The two of them fearlessly rushed forward, and within 2 steps, Su Dumao turned his head and ran away. The farmer laughed when he saw the 2 children. Your friends have all run away, why don't you run? What are you running for? One person does what one person does, and since I have done it, I cannot escape. You are a responsible person. Later, the farmer did not criticize him and even taught him how to bake corn. As evening approached, he carried a pile of roasted corn back to the courtyard. Su Dumao lay on the windowsill, watching him. Seeing him still carrying corn, he ran out directly. Yuzhu, are you okay? I came back to move reinforcements, but neither my father nor your father is here. What are you holding? Can you give me one? Yuzhu is also a bit bloodthirsty. He knows that Su Dumao didn't run away just to move reinforcements. I saw him doing nothing on the window, so I ran out. He believed that if he couldn't come back today, Su Dumao wouldn't have taken the initiative to say exactly what they had done. Now it's okay to have the audacity to ask him for roasted corn. At that time, he was very angry and put the corn in the kitchen. Su Dumao has been following him and chattering away. He put away the roasted corn and dragged Su Dumao's collar into the yard. Without saying a word, a fight broke out. Finally, it was his mother and Aunt Su who came out to separate them. In the following days, after his anger subsided, he planned to apologize to Su Dumao. After all, I am also a big brother, so I need to have some magnanimity. Unexpectedly, Su Dumao began to show off the toys his father bought for him and even teased him. Afterwards, their relationship became increasingly strained. You don't like me, I don't like you. Even after he was forced to drop out of school, Su Dumao came over and laid a stone in the well. So even if there was Su Dumao collecting his body in the previous life, he didn't want to take the initiative to flatter Su Dumao. Riding a bicycle is fast, and you'll be at school in a few minutes. Send rainwater and rush towards the pear orchard. He used to study with his master Wang Difu in the pear orchard on weekends. I have become a regular worker this time, and I can take 2 days off every week, which I can choose for myself. He chose to rest for 2 days on the weekend, just in time to accompany the rain. I came very early due to cycling. Oh, Yuzhu bought a bicycle. Ma Xiao saw his new car at a glance. Yeah, Ma, after all, the pear orchard is too far from home, and having a bicycle is also more convenient. We can't always let you work first, right? Yes, yes, yes. Ma Xiao casually replied while looking around the car. In no time, several people came up to wipe up. Wait until the novelty wears off before returning to work. I was busy until after 4 p.m. in the afternoon. After becoming a regular employee, you can bring 2 dishes back every day. Because of riding a bicycle, he didn't bring small rice dumpling to the rain. I brought a fish-flavored shredded meat and a green pepper and potato shred, and then rode back home on the bike. When we got home, rainwater had not returned yet. I happened to have some time left, so I planned to further study the system. The last time he checked, there was only 1 level of culinary proficiency. What kind of proficiency has been added now, such as proficiency in cycling and drinking? However, most of them are useless. Yuzhu thought to himself, is it possible that as long as he is exposed to new things, there will be a corresponding improvement in proficiency? Thinking of this, I couldn't help but get excited. Turning around, he took out a Mandarin book from the corner of the cabinet. I casually opened an article and started reading it. Writing proficiency. 36/1000, level. Level 10. Surprisingly, it really can. He was originally a bit worried about his future development. But now we have this feature of the system. Even if he encounters the next decade, he can learn some other skills according to the actual situation. Brother. The sound of rainwater coming from outside interrupted Yuzhu's thoughts. Thank you, Teacher Yen. Yuzhu thanked Yen Bugui while taking the backpack from Yuyu's shoulder. You're welcome, Lao. He already told me last night. Okay, then I'll ask Teacher Yen for more rain in the future. Rain has a soft nature, and I hope he won't be bullied in school. Yen Bugui thought to himself. Are you having a filter on your sister? Is rainwater still soft in nature? But he didn't say it directly either. The two exchanged a few simple greetings before Yuzhu pulled the rainwater back into the room. Chapter 9, I see you are itching. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brother, what's so delicious to eat today? Yuzhu opened the lunchbox he brought back, as the insulation effect was good and the food was still warm. Wow, there's fish-flavored shredded meat. Yuzhu warmed up the remaining babao congee in the morning, and they had dinner. As rainwater ate, he asked. Brother, when will you bring that colorful little rice dumpling again? Brother rides his bike every day now, it's not very convenient. Ah. Rainwater pouted and snorted unhappily. You little greedy cat. Yuzhu smiled and poked her head, then continued. On Sunday, I will personally do it for you. Yeah. Hurry up and eat. The little girl agreed while stuffing food into her mouth. Yuzhu looked at rainwater with a funny expression. Suddenly, he noticed a green patch on rainwater's wrist. What's going on with your hands? Rainwater followed Yuzhu's line of sight and saw the injury on his wrist. Immediately, he panicked and covered up. I accidentally bumped into this during my physical education class. Rainwater, to be honest, deceiving people is not good. Truly, I didn't lie to you. Okay, let's eat quickly. Yuzhu is aware of rainwater's temperament. Although he looks soft, his personality is very stubborn. If she doesn't want to answer, she can hardly ask anything. After finishing the meal and soothing the rain to sleep, Yuzhu left. I came to Mr. Zhang's house in the front yard to buy breakfast. Grandpa Zhang, have you fallen asleep? Squeak. It's a pillar, why is it late? Is there anything wrong? Grandpa Zhang, has Danny slept yet? I have something I want to ask her. No, this girl is full of energy. She has to make a fuss for a long time every night. Come on in. Zhang Danny was a talkative speaker, but when she saw Yuzhu coming in, she immediately welcomed him. Brother Yuzhu, has rainwater fallen asleep? Can I go over and play with her? The rain has fallen asleep. You should go to school tomorrow to play. Okay. The unhappy appearance of this girl is carved from the same mold as the rain. Brother Yuzhu has a question for you. Is there any conflict between rainwater and anyone at school today? No, right. Oh, by the way, during physical education class today, I saw Lu Guangfu taking 2 of his classmates to find rainwater. They said uncle he ran away with someone and didn't want you and the rain anymore. You said you would throw her away when you get married in the future. Rainwater was said to cry, pushed Lu Guangfu, and fell on the way back to the classroom. Yuzhu continued to ask. Did Lu Guangfu and his team take action? No, they just keep scaring rainwater. Brother Yuzhu, uncle he really doesn't want you anymore. No, he just went out to work. I'll just say, Uncle, he likes rain so much, how could he possibly not want rain? Alright, thank you, Danny. As Yuzhu spoke, he took out 2 candies from his pocket. Finally, she touched Zhang Danny's head. Thank you, Grandpa Zhang. Why bother you so late? It's okay, children's conflicts, you too. Knowing Grandpa Zhang, I won't go to trouble Lu Guangfu. Your father just left, and you guys are not doing well either. I'll pay attention, Grandpa Zhang, you guys should rest early too. I'll go back first. Leaving the front yard, Yuzhu went straight back to the room. Today's incident was Lu Guangfu's fault, but if he came directly to the door to argue, it would basically have no impact on Lu Guangfu. However, it is also impossible for him to let Lu Guangfu go like this. He needs to find a way. The next day after work, Yuzhu bought a big bag of candy and spent 1.2 yuan. After Rainwater returned, Yuzhu asked her to share these sugars with her good friends in the yard. Because the rain was still angry with Lu Guangfu, it was not given to him. He took advantage of the absence of adults to grab the rainwater bag. Yuzhu watched in the dark and lifted Lu Guangfu away before he was ready to take action. Everyone, come and take a look. This kid robbed in broad daylight. It's okay. He's too big to kill or set fire. At this moment, the ants in the yard were chatting and immediately gathered around when they heard the commotion. Yuzhu, did you misunderstand something? Guangfu is still a child. Yuzhu glanced at the speaker, who was a kind-hearted woman, and said in a relaxed tone. Zhang, you can't say that. When you're 3 years old, how many years old is this kid? I bought sugar for Rainwater and asked her to share it with my good friend. Isn't it his turn yet? He's just in a hurry to grab it, isn't this just robbery? Upon hearing this, Lu Guangfu vigorously kicked his legs. You're talking nonsense, she has no intention of giving it to me. Oh. Aren't you good friends with Rainwater? How could she not give it to you? Most of the children in the yard have it. There were also many children among the onlookers who took out candies in their hands. Rainwater's sister returned it to me. I want it too. Do I have 5? Seeing this situation, everyone also knows that Lu Guangfu has a problem. Guangfu, did you argue with Rainwater? No. Lu Guangfu pouted and said. How did the injury on Rainwater come about? Yuzhu asked after him. She fell it herself. You didn't bully her. I. Lu Guangfu hesitated for a moment and said directly, I mean your father doesn't want her anymore, and you will also don't want her in the future. I'm not wrong. Please let me down quickly, or my father will come back and beat you up. Speak of the devil. What's going on? It's all around my doorstep. Yuzhu put Lu Guangfu down and looked at Lu Haizhong, saying. Your family's Lu Guangfu bullied our family's Rainwater at school, and when he returned to the yard, he even grabbed the sugar from the Rainwater. That's how you educated him, and you can also be considered a person with a name and surname. Why is the son you taught a robber? Uncle Lu, do you usually pretend to be a robber? This sentence directly hit the heart of the Bangs. Lu Haizhong has always been diligent and conscientious, taking Yi Zhonghai as his leader, hoping to become a leader in the factory. But after years of hard work in my past life, I still haven't made any progress. Because when I was young, I favored my eldest son and mistreated the 2 younger ones. As a result, no filial piety was cultivated in the end, and one's later years can be considered quite miserable. But now Yuzhu has just made use of his 2 points. Good at putting on airs, not yet doting on Lu Guangfu so much. Yuzhu, what did you say? Isn't it normal for this child to make some mistakes? Don't worry, I will definitely educate him well when I go back. What you're saying sounds good. We don't know if you're going back to teach us. You're the fairest person in our yard. If this family can't handle it well, how can we handle national affairs? With these words raised and pressed, the Bangs were intimidated. He patted Lu Guangfu's head and said, apologize to Rainwater. I'm right. Lu Guangfu said defiantly. I see you're itching. As Lu Haizhong spoke, he began to take action, which was really ruthless. Yuzhu didn't look anymore and took Yi Rainwater home to eat delicious food. Chapter 10. Rewards for Good and Evil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flew by in a blink of an eye, and he immediately welcomed his first day off after work. After a week of work, everyone in the pear orchard was impressed by his abilities. Moreover, he never feels superior just because he becomes a chef. I often go early to transport with the unloading personnel. Teach apprentices carefully when dealing with their issues. The master also said. After he finishes his apprenticeship, he can immediately accept his disciples. He just smiled and said, my skills are far from yours, master. Due to Lu Guangfu's appearance, every household in the courtyard has been quieter recently. Except for Su Dumao occasionally jumping out to respond to people, everything is fine. But now, although he is an 18-year-old body, his soul is not. In his past life, he would still be angered by Su Dumao's moves. Looking back now, it's just a childish way for a child to gain attention from others. Since that's the case, he didn't argue much with Su Dumao. On Saturday morning, he got up early to prepare breakfast and lunch, and then put the lunch in the lunchbox. After the rain woke up to eat, he rode his bike to the river where Yan Bugue fell into the water. From a distance, one can see that there is not much open space by the river anymore. Yuzhu hurriedly went over and found a relatively small area. The reason why this place has not been occupied is mainly because it is not very good. It happens to be a corner, and the chance of fish catching the bait is relatively small. But with the proficiency system in hand, he's there, and that's a feng shui treasure trove. Coincidentally, there is a big willow tree at this corner, and no matter how the sun changes, it and the rain will be in a cool area on this day. After organizing the fishing gear, he set up 2 small armchairs and took out the prepared wooden sticks to start carving. Seeing the rain, she couldn't sit still, so she let her go play, only instructing her to stay away from the river. For the first 2 hours, there was no movement on the fishing hook, but he wasn't in a hurry either. Seriously improve one's proficiency in carpentry. It wasn't until around 10 o'clock that his fishing proficiency improved to the level of an intermediate angler. At this moment, the fishing hook moved and he patiently waited. Suddenly, the fishing rod began to press down, and Yuzhu quickly lifted it. A big carp weighing 3 pounds came up. Many of the fishing enthusiasts around are experienced anglers. Seeing Yuzhu's fish, everyone showed an appreciative expression. The young man is not bad. An old man next to Yuzhu said sincerely. It's just good luck. After finishing speaking, Yuzhu began to focus on fishing. When he only upgraded his fishing proficiency to intermediate level, knowledge related to fishing would come to his mind when he grasped the fishing hook. So he put down the carved carpenter, appearing to be seriously fishing on the surface, but in reality, he was wandering in the ocean of knowledge. It wasn't until Yi Rainwater returned and patted his shoulder that he came out. During this period, he has caught 5 big fish. Other anglers gradually turned from initial appreciation to envy. 5 fish, keep 1 for yourself to eat, and sell the rest to earn an extra 1 or 2 yuan. For an ordinary family, this may be just 1 or 2 days of salary. But Yuzhu didn't pay attention to their eyes. I forgot the time while fishing for a while, and now it's already noon. Are you hungry? Yuzhu opened the lunch he had prepared for breakfast, dug a pit, and lit a fire. After the fire is extinguished, put the iron lunch box in and let it sit still. After more than 10 minutes, he pulled out the lunch box. Although the meal was not steaming hot anymore, it happened to open at this moment. Let's eat the rain first. I'll make you fish soup when I go back tonight. Rainwater obediently accepted and lowered his head to start cooking. After lunch, Yuzhu plans to improve his fishing skills for another 2 hours before returning home. Just as I was about to return home after training, I heard someone shouting in the distance. Someone fell into the water. Someone fell into the water. Hurry up and find someone. A chaotic group of people gathered around. Yuzhu looked at the crowd, hesitated for a second, and immediately rushed over. I can swim. He learned how to swim after being with Lu Xiaoyi in the previous life, and she forced him to do so. I didn't expect to use it in this lifetime. Upon hearing his voice, people made way. He took off his coat and shoes as he walked. Once the rescue route was determined, he plunged into the water. Because the person who falls into the water knows nothing about water. After Yuzhu swam over, the person grabbed him and kept struggling. If it weren't for his good strength, he might have been taken down. It took a lot of effort to bring the person up. Arriving at the shore, he pulled away his burnt hair. Rainwater discovered that it was actually Lu Xiao. What kind of luck is this? At this time, Lu Xiao had been staying in the water for a bit longer. Choked on a lot of water. At this point, the rescue team had not yet arrived, and Yuzhu had no choice but to personally rescue him. Start artificial respiration after pressing. After a few cycles, Lu Xiao spat out a mouthful of water. Yuzhu sat down with peace of mind and covered Lu Xiaoyi with the clothes he had taken off before, then gently patted her face. When she calmed down and slowly opened her eyes, Yuzhu got up and took his shoes and left. Brother, you're amazing. Brother, I also want to learn swimming. Brother. On the way home, Rain sat behind and chattered away. Yuzhu perfunctorily accepted, his mind filled with memories from the previous life. He had known for a long time that Chairman Lu had a daughter, but he had never seen her before. I didn't see it until Su Dumao got married to her. Lu Xiao was born into a wealthy family and has good character and appearance. In his past life, Yuzhu thought it was because Su Damao's mother worked at the Lu family that Su Damao took advantage. But in his lifetime, he realized that it was not just for this reason. He also realized how terrifying those 10 years were because he had experienced them all his life. How many innocent people have been framed? How many capitalists have been raked? It is impossible for Chairman Lu to sit in his current position without any grasp of the situation. He may already have a premonition of what will happen, so he hopes to arrange a good path for his daughter. Su Damao's ancestors have been farmers for 3 generations, with a clean political background. His father Su Fugui is a projectionist and can also be considered a government official. After marrying Su Damao, even if something happens to the Lu family, Lu Xiao can be picked out. At first, Chairman Lu did not expect that his move not only pushed Lu Xiao into the fire pit, but also pushed them into the fire pit. Su Damao started secretly running to the widow's house in the 14th grade and climbing the wall of the women's restroom at school. How could such a person be a good husband? Sure enough, when he first got married, Su Damao remained obedient for a while. But after that fresh energy, Su Damao began to indulge in extravagance and laziness. In the end, they forced Chairman Lu's family overseas and divorced Lu Xiaoyi. When he collaborated with Lu Xiao, she took him to open a restaurant and taught him from head to toe. If it weren't for Qinhuai Ru's interference in the end, he might have become a big boss. Qinhuai Ru was also short-sighted, and when she saw him with Lu Xiaoyi, she was afraid that she couldn't hold on to him anymore. I never thought that if he became the big boss, he could give her more. He had never intended to go find Lu Xiao before, but by chance, he saved her life. This can also be considered as a reward for good and evil. Riding a bicycle, I soon arrived at the courtyard.